Somewhere inside Saturn right now, buried under crushing pressure and 1,000-degree heat, lies a piece of human engineering that NASA built, launched, and then deliberately murdered. Not because it broke, not because it failed, because it worked too well, and that success became a threat. On September 15, 2017, Mission Control gave the final command to a spacecraft that had spent 13 years rewriting everything we thought we knew about the outer solar system. They pointed it straight into the atmosphere of a gas giant and watched it burn. This is the story of Cassini, the machine that found two hidden oceans that might hold alien life, and the impossible choice that forced NASA to destroy the very thing that discovered them. To understand why a $3.9 billion triumph had to die, we need to go back to a decade before it ever reached Saturn, back when this entire mission almost never left the ground. In the late 1980s, three space agencies, American, European, and Italian, began designing a machine unlike anything attempted before. Cassini would weigh over 5 metric tons, stand 2 stories tall, and carry a dozen scientific instruments plus a hitchhiking probe named Huygens. It was, at the time, one of the most ambitious machines humanity had ever tried to fling into deep space. But there was a problem nobody could engineer around. Cassini was too heavy to fly there directly. No rocket on Earth had the raw power to push that much mass all the way to Saturn in a straight line. So engineers designed something stranger. A 7-year detour through the solar system, using the gravity of other planets like slingshots. Cassini looped past Venus twice, swung by Earth once, and stole a burst of speed from Jupiter's enormous gravity well in the year 2000. Each flyby was a calculated theft, borrowing momentum from a planet to hurl a machine further into the dark. For 7 years, Cassini flew silently through the void, alone, recalibrating itself, waiting. And then, in July of 2004, it finally arrived. And what it found waiting inside Saturn's rings would upend a century of assumptions. Saturn's rings had always looked, from Earth, like a single solid halo. Cassini revealed the truth. Billions of ice particles ranging from dust grains to house-sized boulders, constantly colliding, drifting, and reshaping themselves in real time. Tiny moons carved ripples through the ice like boats cutting through water. And at the planet's north pole, Cassini's cameras caught something that made scientists stop and stare. A perfect, 6-sided storm the size of 2 Earths side by side, spinning in an exact hexagonal shape that has never been fully explained. But the rings and the storm were only the opening act. Because Cassini hadn't traveled 2 billion miles just to study a planet, it had come to drop something onto one of its moons. And what that moon revealed would change the search for alien life forever. On Christmas Day 2004, Cassini released its passenger. The European-built Huygens probe fell alone toward Titan, Saturn's largest moon, a world completely hidden behind a thick orange haze that no camera had ever pierced. For 21 days it coasted through the dark. Then it hit the atmosphere, deployed its parachutes, and began a nerve-wracking descent through clouds nobody had ever seen beneath. What the cameras revealed on the way down looked disturbingly familiar. Riverbeds, coastlines, drainage channels, valleys carved by flowing liquid. When Huygens finally touched the surface, it became the most distant landing ever achieved by any human-made object, settling onto a frozen plain littered with chunks of water ice as hard as granite in temperatures nearing -290 degrees Fahrenheit. From orbit, Cassini's radar then did something even stranger. It looked straight through Titan's clouds and found entire seas, not water. Liquid methane and ethane raining from orange skies into lakes larger than the Caspian Sea. Titan wasn't just alien, it was a working, cycling world, an eerie mirror of early Earth built from a completely different chemistry. And if a moon this strange could hide an entire liquid cycle, What else was hiding in Saturn's shadow? The answer came from a moon so small nobody expected anything from it at all. Enceladus is barely 300 miles wide, small enough to fit inside a single US state. For years, scientists assumed it was a dead, frozen rock. Then in 2005, Cassini's instruments picked up something odd near its south pole, a strange ripple in Saturn's magnetic field, as if something invisible was pushing back against it. When Cassini turned its cameras toward the disturbance, what it found looked less like geology and more like a miracle. Massive plumes of ice erupting hundreds of miles into space, jetting out through cracks nicknamed tiger stripes. A supposedly dead moon was alive, and NASA wanted to know exactly what it was breathing out. So engineers took a risk that would have been unthinkable a decade earlier. They steered a multi-billion-dollar spacecraft just 15 miles above the surface, close enough to fly directly through the icy spray, and let its instruments taste it. What they found rewrote the rulebook: water ice, salt, simple organic molecules, and something far more significant: molecular hydrogen. That single detail meant one thing. Beneath Enceladus's frozen shell was a hidden liquid ocean, warmed from within, chemically similar to the deep-sea vents on Earth, where life itself is believed to have first ignited. In a single flyby, the search for alien life quietly shifted, not toward the red deserts of Mars, but toward the freezing, ice-locked moons at the far edge of the solar system. And that discovery is exactly what sealed Cassini's fate. By 2017, after 13 years and 2 mission extensions, Cassini was almost out of fuel. Without propellant, NASA would eventually lose all control over where it drifted. And an uncontrolled spacecraft is a ticking clock. If left to wander, gravity would eventually pull it into Titan or Enceladus. Cassini still carried a small nuclear power source that had never fully cooled. A crash could rupture it, scattering trace Earth bacteria across the very worlds it had just proven might be able to host alien life. The machine that discovered 2 possible cradles for life had become the single greatest threat to them. There was only one way to guarantee those oceans stayed untouched, and it meant destroying the spacecraft that found them. On April 22, 2017, Cassini began what NASA called its grand finale: 22 unprecedented dives through the narrow, unexplored gap between Saturn and its rings, gathering one final wave of data no machine had ever collected before. Then on September 15th, it made its last pass, and instead of turning away, it aimed straight down. As it fell into Saturn's atmosphere, its small thrusters fired constantly, fighting to keep its antenna locked on Earth for as long as physically possible, streaming real-time data back across nearly 1 billion miles of space. It kept transmitting until the atmosphere itself tore it apart. At 7:55 a.m. Eastern Time, the signal went silent. Within minutes, the friction had shredded its solar panels, melted its instruments, and scattered its atoms into the very gas giant it had spent 13 years studying. Cassini didn't crash into Saturn. It became part of it, a permanent atomic signature folded into the planet it gave its life to protect. It left behind nearly 500,000 images, thousands of scientific discoveries, and a single unsettling truth: the outer solar system isn't the frozen dead zone we once assumed. It's full of hidden oceans, and at least 2 of them might be capable of supporting life we haven't found yet. NASA didn't destroy Cassini because it failed. They destroyed it because it succeeded so completely that its own discoveries turned it into a liability. Sometimes the most human thing a machine can do is die to protect something it will never get to meet. If you want to keep exploring the hidden corners of our solar system with us, subscribe and tell us in the comments which world should we uncover next.